I would say you're gonna be surprised. You know what I'm saying? Just expect the unexpected.
Vision.
Aren't you the one that said our new mandate was business first?
Yo, T, you on board with this?
I know you're not questioning us. You're a foot soldier, remember that.
You can sign yourself to death row.
That's a risk I'm willing to take.
What's going on, fam? It's your man, VACAY-J. And if you're new and you're loving BMF, definitely go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Absolutely like. Comment below with any theories, any thoughts. We're going to get into BMF episode 5. We're going to get into the recap and break it down. If I miss anything, definitely comment below. But this was an incredible episode. I knew it was going to turn up, and it definitely did turn up in this episode. So we're going to get into it and break it down. If you missed any episodes, definitely check out all my recaps. We have the BMF playlist, so you can just go to the playlist, hit that BMF playlist, and you can see all the recaps, so you can be all caught up on everything. So now let's get into it. Let's break down episode 5. Again, this episode, definitely they turned up, and I'm excited about it. Yeah, this one was definitely revealing a whole lot of secrets, and that's exactly what the name of this episode is. Secrets and lies. Again, secrets and lies. Let's look at the description. Meech and Terry devise a multi-layered plan to reclaim what is rightfully theirs. Detective Lopez's murder investigation begins to heat up. And that's exactly what's going on. So we're going to break it down right now. So we start off with Lucille and T, and they're talking, and she's giving him a piece of paper to let him know exactly what to say to the teacher. He's like, yo, why can't we just tell the truth? And she's like, boy, just do what I say, right? So we're starting off, we're seeing, all the lies that are being told. You see Danielle, she's supposedly studying. Charles is like, you're working hard, you studying there? She's like, yes, daddy. But she's really looking at MC Light in the magazine. She's not studying at all. Lucille asks, how do I look in this dress? Of course, he tells her that she looks beautiful. And they basically breaking down how, sometimes people lie because the truth sometimes is worse than, telling the lies. And sometimes people tell lies. Now we go over to the deposition with Terry and Pastor Swift's niece. And they're sitting down with the lawyers at the hospital with the people trying to negotiate something for Terry, right? They're trying to break down and get something for Terry, but they're really looking into it. They all of a sudden pull out pictures of Terry coming out of the Mercedes-Benz and also Terry and Meech, and they have furs on and everything else like that. And of course, Pastor Swift's niece is like, I object. And it's just like, hey, we could do it here now, or, we can take it to the next level, and he's just like, listen, I don't remember any of that. So they say, you know what, we're just going to take it to the next level and get up out of here. So they get up out of there. Now, Meech goes to see Pat, and Pat has a new muscle. He rolls up in the spot, and he's like, yo, I really just want to take it to the next level, man, but it seems like, you don't have the supply that I need. And Pat is just like, yo, you boys are getting too big for yourselves, and, there's a lot of lessons. And, Meech is just like, yo, the biggest lesson is don't get high on your own supply. So Pat gets up, punches Meech in the stomach, and Meech is just like, yo, man, I'm just trying to be my own man. I'm just trying to stand on my own. But Pat is not having it. He's like, you know what? You're banished and all this and that. It's like, we ain't going to do business no more. So Meech is just like, man, come on, Pat. Like, you like a father to me. But he kicks him out. He says, that's it. That's the end of their business relationship. So now the ties have been severed. Meanwhile, at Monique's house, you got little Zoe, and she wakes up your boy Lamar. That's right. Lamar staying over there now as daddy again. And she asks him to pick her up from school. She's like, well, we'll see. And, Monique is like, listen, you've been late a lot. Just don't mess up. Go pick her up. That'll be fine. You want to be a daddy. Go make sure you pick her up and make sure nothing happens. Meanwhile, Meech and Terry, they're talking about the case. And Meech is just like, yo, man, you might as well just take that $25,000 because it's going to put a microscope on us, man. Just get it out of the way so we could just keep it moving. Meanwhile, Zoe comes out of school. School is over. And who does she see? She's happy to see and run up and hug, not Lamar, but who is that? Yes, it's Uncle Meech. What's going on, Uncle Meech? He said, hey, Lamar got tied up, but, your mom said to pick you up. And she's like, oh, okay. So we're going to get some ice cream. We're going to do this and that. Meanwhile, this is part of Meech's plan to get his stash back. Look at your boy Lamar. Now he's outside of the school. He obviously came late, like they said. And he's looking around like, yo, where's she at? Where's Zoe? What's going on? He's looking around, doesn't know what's happening. So he rolls up on one of Zoe's friends, and she knows him. He's like, you good? He say, have you seen Zoe? She's like, yeah, I think her dad picked her up, right? She doesn't know. She's like, her dad picked her up. So he's like, what, her dad? Lamar's like, he's like, what is going on, right? So he's looking around, and he's like, yo, remember me? Turn around, it's your boy Saki. And Saki's like, yo, you know what? We got Zoe. You give us the stash, we give you Zoe back. They get into a scuffle, of course. And, Saki's like, yo, go ahead, beat me up. You'll never, ever see your daughter again, man. And don't go to the cops. Don't tell nobody, because if you do, then guess what? She going to end up dead. You know what I mean? So, of course, Lamar is crazy upset now. He's calling the 12th Street boys like, yo, get everybody together. You got to find my daughter. He's definitely like on a rampage. Who wouldn't be on a rampage, right? Somebody take your daughter like that, like he's going to round up the crew. They're going to find Meech. They're going to find Terry. They're on a mission to find them. Will they find them? That is the question. Now, of course, you got Meech and Zoe, and Meech is not going to do anything to Zoe. They know each other, and she's just having questions like, yo, my mom didn't tell me about this, and he's like, don't worry about it. We just going to get some ice cream, and then we're going to do this. And, I won't tell if you won't tell, right? Meanwhile, back at the house, of course, Lucille, she's talking to Terry, and she's asking Terry, this is the most important part, are you selling drugs with Meech? And he's like, no. She's like, look me in my eyes. Are you selling drugs with Meech? She's like, no, Ma, I'm not doing it. Of course, we know the truth, right? Meanwhile, of course, they are offering them $25,000. Of course, Lucille is like, that's not enough. And they go back and forth. So they're going to push forward. Now we got B. Mickey and your girl Kato after they smash some cheeks. They are in the bed together. They are now, together. But she gets a page and it comes from Meech. And he's like, yo, get to your house ASAP right now. So she goes over to the house. Lamar's now with the 12th Street boys. He's upset. He's angry. He's like, yo, they took my daughter. We need to, get these cats, da-da-da-da. Meanwhile, your boy Ten is like, yo, that's not a good move, man. It's not a good business move. You take boys off the street, that's bad for business, right? So, of course, Lamar's like, it's all right, but it's not all right. He pulls out the belt and tries to strangle Ten. That's right. Tries to take his life right there. Of course, if it wasn't for Slick, like, yo, let him go, then he would be dead. Because Lamar was ready to kill 10, but he let him go. And he said, yo, get out there and find my daughter. Find Meech and find Terry. Back at the precinct, your boy, Detective Brian, is being told by the commander, listen, there's an interrogation going on. We got a witness. Go in there with Detective Lopez. So he goes in there with Detective Lopez. He didn't want to go, but he's sitting down with the guy, and the guy is very detailed as to who possibly took J. Mo, who kidnapped J. Mo. Now, of course, we know who kidnapped J. Mo. He shows him pictures, and the guy's like, no, it's none of these guys, right? But, of course, Detective Brian's like, you better not recognize me, you better not say nothing. But the guy's like, you do look familiar. And I think he knows that it is Detective Brian. Now, back at the Flannery house, we got Lucille and Charles. They sitting down, and they're talking about the case. And, of course, Charles wants to get to $25,000. Lucille is not having it. She's like, that hospital, they got to pay. They got to pay for all of that. We're not taking the deal. So he's like, yo, when did you start making all the decisions? When did that happen? Like we supposed to be in this together. And she's like, listen, when you left the house, that's when I started making the decisions around here. So they're still going back and forth with their conflict as far as how Charles feels about the boys and everything else like that. Meanwhile, somebody is watching some cartoons. Guess who it is? It's Zoe. But where is Zoe? Zoe's watching cartoons somewhere. Yeah, she's at Kato's house. And Meech and Terry are saying, listen, we want to hide her here. keep her here for now until we tell you that, you know, we can move her. All right. So she's not with it. And she's saying she's not down for the kids and all this and that. All right. But again, he's like, just do it. She gets a phone call, right? Guess who the phone call is from? Of course, it's from Lamar. Lamar is frantic, like, yo, did Meech and them say anything? She runs into another room, right? You think Meech and Terry don't know what's going on? So she runs into another room, talking to Lamar. Lamar's like, yo, find out whatever you can. She comes back out. She's looking for Meech and Terry. They're gone. You know, Zoe's like, they just left. So, of course, she now has her suspicions like, yo, did they hear that conversation? Did they just leave? You know, she is definitely got the guilty conscience going on right now because you a mole. Meanwhile, Meech and Terry are talking about everything. And really, Terry is talking about all the concerns. And he's like, yo, man, you kidnapping, you know, Zoe. Like, is this a good idea? He's questioning the idea. He's like, yo, we're desperate. We need this money. We got to do whatever we got to do. So, you know, they're going back and forth. Eventually, you know, Meech is like, yo, from the womb to the tomb, man, we in this together, man. We brothers. We got to stick together in this, man. You know, he's just like, yo, trust me. This is going to work out. It is going to work out. You know, we going to get our stash back and we're going to get everything back and nothing's going to happen to Zoe. Meanwhile, your boy, Lamar, he is sweating bricks. He's sweating. He is so, because he know he has to tell Monique. So Monique rolls up like, yo, I've been paging you. What is going on? You know, Zoe should have been home by now. What is happening? Of course, Lamar, he is scared. He's just like, man, you know, he's very hesitant to tell her, but he tells her that something happened to Zoe. He said, I went to go pick her up and something happened. And he eventually says, you know, Meech took Zoe. And she's just like, what? You get me involved in this street stuff? You getting Zoe involved in it, you know, and all this and that. So, of course, she's, you know, trying to hit him and everything. And they go back and forth. And he eventually, you know, snatches her up. You know, he just restrains her or whatever. But, of course, you know, you're a mom and your daughter gets kidnapped. Like, of course, you're going to be upset. Lamar's like, yo, it's going to be all right. We're going to find him. We're going to get him. Don't even worry about it. So she is like, and, you know, she's distraught right now. She's very, very upset. Meanwhile, your boy Hop-Along Slick rolls and he says, yo, nobody knows where Meech and Terry lives. We was looking all over the south side. We was looking all over here and there, southwest. We can't find them. So, of course, Lamar, he's not trying to hit. It's like, yo, do what you got to do. Hop along, go and find them. Right? Back at the precinct, your boy, Detective Lopez, he's investigating again. And he finds out that, yes, J-Mo, you know, he's reporting, yeah, they got shot in the head. But the big deal is that his earring is missing. His diamond earring is missing. And he's telling this to Detective Brian. So, of course, Detective Brian's like, let me look into this himself. To himself, he's not saying that to Lopez, but we already know he's the one that snatched up J-Mo. So we go here to Kato's house. Guess who shows up unannounced? Lamar. He's running in like, yo, where they at? You know, do you have my daughter? And she's like, nah, I don't have your daughter. Why would I have your daughter here? It doesn't even make sense. Why would I take your daughter? So he looks at the TV and he sees cartoons on. He's like, yo, who's watching cartoons? And it's like, she's like, I'm watching cartoons, man. You know, I watch cartoons. I love Bugs Bunny, right? So he's like, you know what? I don't believe that. So he goes through her house, searching and looking. And she's nervous because she knows that Zoe is there, or she thinks Zoe is there. Yep. Smart Meech. Meech is smart. Got her out the side of the house because he must have saw Lamar come to Kato's house. And she's going back and forth like, yo, I didn't take her. I don't know where she is. But she looks outside the window and she sees Meech taking Zoe out to the car. So, of course, Lamar's looking towards the window. She distracts him and says, hey, when we going to get at these cats? When we going to take down the 50 boys? She distracts him, right? He's like, yo, whatever. It's all about my daughter. So he makes the phone call from the number on the paper. It's Meech's number. And he's like, yo, man, you know, where's my daughter? And she's like, yo, is that mommy? He's like, no, that's not mommy. And he's like, yo, Lamar's like, you just signed a death wish. And, you know, Meech is like, yo, that's the chance I'm willing to take. Hangs up the phone, throws the phone. And, of course, it's always just like, yo, can we go home now? I got homework. And she's like, you know, just one more stop. I'm going to take you to get some ice cream, okay? He calls T, and T is like, yo, the plan is ready. We got it in place. Boom. T rolls up to this auto shop, right? And the 12th Street boys followed him. So here we go with Hopalong Slick. You know, he got shot in the last episode in the leg. And they trying to get T, right? Get T and get him. But only to find out that the 50 boys was right there. It was a setup to capture Slick. They get Slick and throw him in the trunk. And then they skate off, right? So this was all a plan. It was a setup to get them and get Slick. So they get Slick. They take him back to the interrogation house, right? The 50 boys interrogation house. And, you know, B. Mickey's trying to get into it. Terry's like, listen, I'm going to let you go. Just tell me exactly where the stash is. Of course, B. Mickey is ready to blast. That's what I said in the last one, right? He's ready to blast. And Terry's like, nah, Slick is making insults against the baby and all this and that. So they start kicking him down, beating him down, trying to get the location of the stash. Meanwhile, your boy Detective Brian is looking in the back of his car, and he's looking for something, right? What is he looking for? We already know, because he's the one that took J Mo. So he's looking and he finds in the back seat something. What is that something? We don't really see it yet, but it's coming up. But of course, out of nowhere, here comes your boy, Detective Lopez. And he's like, yo, what's going on? What you looking for? You know, he's always asking questions, right? You know, and he hides what he finds in the back seat, of course. And Detective Brown's like, yo, I was looking for my wallet. You know, I think my wallet dropped out, da-da-da. What did he find? He found J Mo's diamond earring, right? Or cubic zirconia, right? Whichever one. But he finds the diamond earring that they're looking for. If they would have found that in the backseat of his car, you already know Detective Brian would have went down. They would have taken him down, right? Put him in jail in the whole nine because he's in connection with the murder. Now back at the interrogation house, Terry's sitting there all bloodied up. Meech is like, yo, did you find out anything? He's like, nah, we ain't find out nothing. He ain't tell us nothing. Meech is like, yo, I got to do everything. He's like, yo, untie him, man. Untie him. Sits down with him, gives him a drink, right? And he's like, yo, listen, man, you a soldier, man. You an OG. A lot of cats would have folded by now and the whole nine. So he's like, yo, stop playing the good cop, bad cop, man. I'm not going to tell you anything, man. He's like, really? All right, yo, come with me. So Meech takes Slick over to the window, right? And he shows Slick. Slick is looking out the window. And Slick is looking at the car, and guess what? Yep, Zoe is in the car. She's listening to music or whatever. And Meech is like, yo, man, listen. You could tell me where you guys took our stuff. Like, I'm desperate right now. And the thing about it is you have a chance now to save Zoe. If you don't tell me where it is, you know, then we going to chop her up and send her with a letter saying you had a chance to save Zoe, So Slick is compelled and he tells Meech where they stashed it. Of course, Meech is pleased by it, tells the guys to get him some clothes, cleans them up so he can take Zoe. Meanwhile, your girl Monique, she is distraught. She don't know what to do. She is now, of course, she's having regrets of getting involved with Meech, of getting involved with, you know, Lamar. She hears a message from Meech like, yo, I wish we could have had something. We could have made something happen. And she throws the answer machine away. Meanwhile, your boy Slick brings back Zoe and brings Zoe to Lamar. Of course, they hug. You know, Slick, he went out of his way, man, but he's looking and seeing that, yeah, you know, Lamar definitely has a weak spot, a weak point, but he went through all of that just to give the stash up and get Zoe back. So, of course, he's like, okay, I'm going to take you to your mom. Don't worry about it. But Lamar knows what had to be given up in order to get her back. Meanwhile, back at the house, we got T and LaWanda, and she's like, yo, man, you just need to get the $25,000, get your own money, get out of the deal, because this is getting real dangerous. So, of course, T is thinking about it, but he's looking at pictures of him and Meech, him and his brother, and it's like, you know, he's back and forth with whether he wants to get out of the game or not, right? He's questioning it. Monique is still praying, but to answer her prayers, here comes Lamar with little Zoe. And she is so happy to see her. She's so thankful. She is grateful, you know. And, you know, Zoe's like, I had fun with Uncle Meech, you know. And she has no idea. But she's like, Mom, you okay? She puts her inside and she's like, listen, I don't want to deal with you or Meech anymore. You guys are trouble. Lamar's like, yo, but I found her. You know, we don't have to do this. She's like, no, get out of here, both of y'all. I'm not dealing with none of y'all. Not dealing with none of y'all. Get off my door. Get out of my house. Of course, Lamar is just like, man, That's right. You went through all of that just to lose it all, right? You thought you had it going on, but now you can't see Zoe anymore. You can't see Monique anymore. You don't got the stash. You don't got the money from the 50 boys. You did all of that wrong, and it all backfired on you, man. Right? Now, back at the barbershop. We're at the barbershop with Pat, and Pat is now trying to solicit Detective Bryant to work for him, right? And, he's like, you work for Meech too, and he's like, I don't know where you heard this, but guess what? I'm not dealing with none of y'all. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm a detective, and that's what it is, and I'm not going to get down with you, and I don't know what you're talking about with Meech or any of them. So this is the first time we see, the Woods brothers play a role, and it definitely was a good one. All right, so he skates off. Meanwhile, we see a guy rolling up on Meech's Mercedes-Benz. Who is it? We don't know, but they about to get in the car together. They put their guns away. It's your boy 10 from the 12th Street Boys, and they sitting down talking. Meech shows him a product, right? 10 gives him some money. It's like, what is going on here, right? So it's crazy, right? 12th Street Boys, 50 Boys, Meech, and 10. What is going on, right? So obviously, Meech is selling product to 10, and 10 is selling his own product on the side. So they got a special deal on the side. But Meech is like, yo, man, how you not have loyalty? And 10 is like, yo, it's not about loyalty to me. It's not about none of that stuff. It's about business. So, of course, Meech is looking at him sideways like, yo, I got to watch this cat. Got to watch this cat because he's not loyal to anybody. And being that he's not loyal to anybody, he could take out anybody at any time. So he definitely has to watch this guy right here because he's not loyal to the 12th Street Boys. He's not loyal to anybody but himself. Meanwhile, we got Meech, and he rolls up on Terry at Terry's house. Of course, Terry's just like, all right, cool. So Meech comes with the money, says, yo, we got the money for Big L. And Meech is like, all right, we need to know how much, this, that, and the third. And Terry has to tell him, hey, listen, she only wants to deal with me. She doesn't want to deal with you at all. He's like, why? He's like, because you too flashy. And he's like, what? Flashy? I'm not flashy. What are you talking about? Terry's just breaking down like, look at you, man. Look at what you're wearing right now. You just too flashy. And Terry, breaks it down and says, listen, man, they don't have to like both of us for us to get the business done. You know what I'm saying? Let me go ahead and do like you did with Pat. For years, you've been the connection to the plug. Let me be the plug now, with Big L. And, we're going to make this happen, man. We're going to rise together. We still brothers. We still going to make this happen. But I'll just be on point this time around. So, of course, Meech is not really feeling that, but he understands that's what it is. But he's still questioning, his boys like, yo, am I flashy? Am I really flashy? And the boy's like, I'm not getting involved with y'all. So Detective Lopez and Detective Bryant goes to the witness house, right? And they're knocking on the door and nobody's answering. The neighbor turns around and says, hey, he's not there. Looks like he left town. He packed up some bags and he went out of town. Doesn't look like he's coming back because he packed up a whole lot of bags, a whole lot of stuff. Looks like he moved. He went somewhere, but he's out of town, right? So, of course, Detective Lopez is questioning this. Detective Bryant walks away like, oh, well, he's gone, right? But Detective Lopez has his suspicions like, why all of a sudden we can't find this witness? What happened? What happened to this dude? He was very accurate in the whole nine. Meanwhile, at the Amoco gas station, you got your boy Meech pumping up some gas in his Mercedes-Benz. But guess who rolls up? Detective Bryant rolls up. And they're like, yo, did you take care of that? Yeah, I took care of that. Meech obviously paid off the witness and said, leave town, and threatened him and said, leave town now. Here's some money. Get out of town. So Detective Bryant's like, okay, you took care of it, but guess what? We're done. And he gives him back the money. Detective Bryant gives Meech back the money that he gave him. He's like, yo, we're done. I'm done doing this for you. I'm done with all of this. It's getting too hot. Of course, Meech is now like, man, okay, got to come up with another plan. This is not what I planned out, but it is what it is. Now, Detective Bryant drives off, and he drives past this blue car, right? Doesn't even notice anything, but there's somebody in the car looking. Who is in the car looking? Who does that look like? Yeah, you know who it is. He's been popping up everywhere, right? That's right. It's Detective Lopez doing his investigation because he had his suspicions, and his suspicions were right, right? So he's looking at the gas station as to where Detective Bryant just came from, right? Looks like Detective Lopez has been doing his investigation, and he sees that Meech and Detective Bryant definitely have ties with each other. And it's evident, as clear as day, and of course he's questioned, why is Detective Bryant talking to, Meech and giving him, an envelope? What is in that envelope, right? So that's going to heat up. We're going to see how that goes. Meanwhile, back at the Flannery home, you got Terry, and Terry now is sitting with the product. So, yep, the money was there. They got the money back, and now they got the product. They got all that they need in order to take over everything, right? Take over everything. So you see your boy Meech roll up in the spot, and he's like, yo, how'd you get in, man? He's like, yo, the extra key is in the back of the house. I got the extra key in the back of the house. I know where that's at. So he's like, yo, we got all this and that. And, Terry doesn't look excited at all. He's like, yo, what's wrong with you, man? He's like, yo, he's questioning everything. Terry's just like, yo, how long we going to do this, man? He's like, as long as we need to, man. But they're going back and forth, and, they start yelling. The parents are supposed to be asleep, but they start yelling, and Tia's just like, yo, man, if I needed to take out, B Biggie myself, it would have been done, and all this and that. And they're kind of talking about the murders. They're talking about the kidnapping and everything. And then here we go. A glass breaks. Where that glass come from? It's Lucille, and she has the most disappointing look on her face. I mean, this part was definitely heartbreaking for her to hear the truth that Terry is involved. She sees the drugs. Terry lied to her. She is so heartbroken right now, and all they can do is stand there in shock, right? Mom found out that, yes, both of them are dealing drugs. She knew that Meech was doing it, but she didn't think Terry was involved. She didn't want Terry to be involved. She told Meech not to get him involved, but Terry, she sees, is all involved in everything, and that's the most disappointing thing. The last thing they said is, the lies that you tell yourself is the worst lies in the world, right? The lies that you tell yourself. Man. So that is episode 5. Again, very detailed, there's a lot going on in this episode, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, listen, everything backfired on Lamar. Definitely Zoe was given back, but they had to go through this, that, and the third. Kato almost got caught in the act of everything, but I think Meech and Terry heard that. I think they heard it. I think they heard Kato's conversation. So you guys let me know what you think. Like, this was an incredible episode. You know what it is. It's your man, VACAY-J. I'm out. Salute.